Prosper is someone who says every home in her community has been touched by cancer in some way. Susan's from Wagaba First Nation, and back in 2009, she became part of those statistics when she was diagnosed with cancer. But today, her life is very different. She calls herself a survivor, and she's organized a whole team of survivors and their supporters for a major event to raise awareness of cancer tonight in Port Hawkesbury, the Canadian Cancer Society Relay for Life. CBC reporter Wendy Martin met up with Susan Prosper this week at the health center in Wagaba.
I found out 3 years ago when I was pregnant and then I had complications due to the pregnancy. I went for some testing and the tests came back positive for choriocarcinoma, which is a rare kind of cancer. I'm the 53rd person in the world to have it since its discovery in 1983. I'm the 18th Canadian to have it, and I'm the first documented Aboriginal to have it.
What kind of cancer is it? What part of the body does it affect?
It affects the uterus. It went undiagnosed for 15 months. By the time they did find it, I was already in stage 3, where it had spread from my uterus to 2 spots in my liver and then eventually into both my lungs.
What kind of treatment did you get?
I went for chemotherapy treatment, but where my cancer was so rare, there's only 2 doctors in Canada that specialize in the kind of cancer that I had. Luckily, one doctor was here in Nova Scotia. He was in Halifax, so I was able to go there for my treatments.
How long were you there?
I was there for 4 months. I went through 18 rounds of rigorous chemo in that 4-month period.
After the treatment, what happened?
Okay, you have to understand that having cancer makes you think twice about everything. The things that you used to take for granted, you don't take for granted anymore. You appreciate things, people, jobs, friends, every little detail of trees, grass, smells. You appreciate everything a lot more because you've actually faced your own mortality. I was lucky enough to get a second chance. I was told that on January 13th, 2010, I was told I was in remission. So I was very lucky.
What made you decide then to, first of all, join up the Relay for Life and then try and reach out to the community?
I found out about the Port Hawkesbury Relay for Life 3 days before the event last year. So I went there and I found out that they were doing a survivors thingy there. So I said, well, I'm a survivor. So when I went there, I met a few friends, and then I felt like I was a big part of something that was way beyond you or I. So while we were sitting there at the dinner, I was looking around the room and I realized that I was the only native sitting in the room. And then I said to myself, well, I'm not the only native cancer survivor. Why am I the only native cancer survivor sitting here? So I decided that I was going to make it my project this year to make sure that more cancer survivors got involved. So I took the time out to go to all the survivors' homes on the reserve and asked them if they would like to participate in this, and out of 11, 9 are going, and the 2 that aren't going because they're working.
So what did you hear from people, the survivors, as you went around the community talking to them?
I spent probably between half an hour to 2.5 hours, I think was the longest, at each person's house, and they voluntarily told me their story. I knew my own story, but I didn't know theirs.
Why do you think it was important for them to be able to tell you their story?
As a cancer survivor, talking to another cancer survivor, it's a feeling of an unspoken understanding. It's something that people have in common when you know you're speaking to another cancer survivor, that you know you've spoken to somebody that knows where you've come from, what you've gone through. It's a sense of closeness.
How has cancer changed you, do you think? What kind of person are you now compared to before?
I find I'm more involved in the community now. Before I was not exactly a procrastinator, but I would always let other people look after whatever needed to be done. Now I'm more involved.
And you said you also, you look at life a little differently yourself?
Yeah, I do. I appreciate everything more. I appreciate the way nature looks. I appreciate everything around me. And I try to stay as positive as I possibly can. If not for me, then for the people that are looking at me.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for the interview, Wendy.
Susan Prosper is from Legava. She was speaking with reporter Wendy Martin. The Relay for Life, by the way, is a 12-hour event beginning tonight at 7 at the Port Hawkesbury Civic Centre, and there are 3 other relays in Cape Breton later this month, one in Cheticamp, one in Arishat, and one in Sydney.